So the goal of what I want to do today is do like super fast presentations so y'all can just see generally what we were doing and then dive straight into like actually demoing the technology, letting y'all ask questions and having like interactive feedback through all this. So, because I'd rather way more us just be talking through stuff than me just talking at you guys. But I'll just give a quick brief of me and why in the world we even did StrIQ in the first place. So the presentation's over StrIQ, STRIQ, which means short terminal IQ. And it's new data and tools, like Ariel said, to help you guys find profitable deals really quickly and help optimize them to get to the best results. Um, and so let me give you all a little story of the background, and this will kind of lead into demoing some of the tech. So this page right here gives an example of an actual case study I used when actually finding a property. So the problem I was facing as a short-term rental investor was, I got into this back in 2020. I was helping other people buy properties as a real estate broker. And I looked around and I said, why am I not doing this myself? Because I want to go acquire assets and grow wealth. And so then I looked and I said, well, I guess I don't have $5 million sitting in the bank to just go buy stuff. So that's why I didn't buy commercial real estate at the time. So I looked at residential, but I was like, well, residential, you have to have like 100 doors, at $100 a door to like really make this thing take off. So then I thought, is there something else that's out there? And that's when I discovered short-term rentals and Airbnb investments. And because these Airbnb investments typically make 2 to 3x what you could make on a long-term rental. So I said, okay, well, I'm just going to get in the game. So I bought a property in Fredericksburg, Texas. Turned out to be like a 60% cash on cash return. It blew my mind that you could even get numbers like that. It was cash flowing $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and it was only $420,000 initial investment. And I was like, what in the world is this asset class? This is amazing. Um, and I had found that by going to Zillow, and then I would go to AirDNA, and then I went to spreadsheets to like run all the numbers, which, took a while, but I was successful in doing it. Well, fast forward, I did a cash out refi. I wanted to buy a property in Seaside, Florida. And so I took that cash from that appreciation and went and bought something in Seaside, Florida. Now, that's when interest rates started to go higher. It was more pain in the butt to try to find a good deal. But sure enough, I was able to find something. Well, now here we are in this environment where interest rates are super high. Honestly, every deal you underwrite is probably negative or break even. And that's what was happening to me is I was just underwriting all these deals and it was a pain in the butt. I was finding all these negative properties. I was like, where are these good properties at? And I was just spending a lot of time. And so that's when I said, you know what if we were to just bring all this data together in one place, the MLS, the revenue data, and the spreadsheets all together on a mobile experience very similar to Zillow, and that way you can just shop for exactly what you want. A 20% cash on cash return or a 10% cash on cash return, and let the data just reveal it to you. So I know Ariel's, been talking a lot about lately of like leveraging AI in Zillow and this new interaction they have. Well, that's what we're basically building in one single application is essentially the Zillow for Airbnb investors combined with AI. So it's almost like the ChatGPT and Zillow for Airbnb investors. So I don't know if many of y'all are Airbnb investors, or if y'all more long term or midterm. Ariel, where do most of your investors kind of fall out there?
I'd say it's like a probably 60-40 split of 60% being long term,
Okay.
40% being short term. I myself am short term in Tampa.
Oh, I'm about to convert all of y'all over to short term today. Because, I mean, I will show you the power of short term rentals. It is a little bit more, you've got to learn a little bit more than just doing it on a long term rental, but there is powerful returns if you do it right. So, okay, here's a case study. We built this app called StrIQ. Again, it's like the Zillow for Airbnb investors. And I was sitting with my wife and I was looking for my third property. We're sitting on the couch and I was like, well, we need to buy a property because we got a huge tax bill coming this year. It was November of 2023. And I looked at her, I was like, well, why don't we just get on the app we just built and see what happens? And so I got on there. She went to A&M in College Station. I was like, yeah, I've heard college towns are kind of interesting. And I just literally typed on this filter up here. Can y'all see my mouse, by the way?
Yep,
I
we
don't
could
know if
see
that's
it.
going. So this filter right here, I just typed in, hey, show me anything that is above 10% cash on cash return and anything that makes over 100,000 in revenue. And sure enough, a few properties, all these properties went away, and a few properties popped up, including this one. And here's the property right here that popped up. And I went through the full underwriting of the property, it looked extremely attractive. I said, oh my gosh, babe, we've got to go buy this thing. Next day, I negotiated on it. We closed in 30 days on December 30th, literally the last day before the end of the year. And I was able to save like 50 to 100,000 in taxes because of, bonus depreciation, all those things you could do because of that technology helped me do it. And now we're cash flowing probably $3,000 to $4,000 a month in net cash flow, making like a 20% cash on cash return because this data like revealed this opportunity to me. And so here we are, after we closed on the property. So that's how I've used it. Most people are like, well, once you find these properties, like, how do I know for sure that it's going to make 120,000 or 120,000 in revenue or whatever? We have another tool called the comps dashboard. So we have the acquisition app, then we've got the comps dashboard, and that the comps dashboard is kind of similar to AirDNA, but I think better. And it basically pulls in all of your comps around your property, and you put in your recipe, kind of like a real estate agent would do to figure out how much your house is worth. And it shows you, hey, based on this 5 bedroom property and within a 5 mile radius, hey, you could expect 90 to 120,000 in revenue. Now, this is important because this property was a long-term rental at the time. It was making $3,500 a month as a long-term rental, which is like 40 grand a year. But look at this. If I turn this into a short-term rental, if I get to the 75th percentile, I could be making 90 to $100,000, basically double or triple. So if you are out there and you're a long-term investor, you can essentially go to this comps dashboard, type in your address, which we could do here in a second, and play around with the idea of, hey, what if I just take my property I have now instead of buying something new and just make it awesome and turn it into short-term rental and see what happens. So that's one thing you could do to actually save cash on instead of buying a new property, you could just optimize your current property and maybe make double or triple than what you're making. And this comps dashboard helps with that. Um, it also shows you like the pictures and the amenities that you need to have to do well. And so all the key is once now all this data is in one place, all you have to do is look at your comps and just do what they do or better. And so it's not rocket science or anything to that. It's just you go look at these pictures and you say, okay, well, I need to have probably a putting green. I need to have like a cool outdoor space. And if I do that, I could probably expect about 100,000 or $80,000 in revenue. So I mean, it's a secret weapon that really no one else really has right now because we're a newer company. And so it's an opportunity to really get in before many other investors have this tech to give them the predictive insights essentially. So the results. So what happened when I bought this property? Here it is. So I bought it again. It was a kind of a traditional college house, nothing super special. It was like $460,000 purchase price. And it had like a crappy backyard. I mean, college kids were there. We had to totally transform it. So we put in about 100 grand to the property. We made like an awesome mural, put in like a hot tub, great furniture, made it like Instagrammable with the pictures. Did like an upside down Longhorn. Sorry if there's any long UT people here. And check this out. Like, here's a booking that we got for $10,000 for one weekend. So again, I was making $3,500 a month as a long-term rental when I first bought it to these college kids. And once they left the UT A&M game, I made $10,000 one weekend. And then the Auburn A&M game, we made $8,000 one weekend. So these football high events, I mean, it's just crazy what you can make on these short-term rentals. Like one weekend can cover like 3 months worth of your mortgage. So anyway, college towns are really interesting. Um, and then, other people are like, well, Matt, you're the CEO of this company, you know this tech. Like, what about other normal people out there? Well, let me tell you about Parker. So Parker's my buddy. He, is probably like y'all. He's like, hey, I'm a high income earner. I'm tired of, I kind of want to get out of my job and get some supplementary cash flow coming in so I can have more freedom. And I said, well, how about we get on strike and see what we can find? And so I got on there. I did, again, anything above 10% cash on cash return. I looked around College Station and sure enough, boom, I found this bubble. It showed this property here and it said it can make about 129 grand or 100 grand in revenue and would be basically like a 10 to 20% cash on cash. And boom, here it is. He decked it out with pickleball, cool amenities. Uh, um, oh gosh, what's that called? Cowboy pool, that's what they are. So cowboy pool and just did, like karaoke area. And now it's crushing it. So it's a big 5 bedroom and he's making, a lot of money on it. So that's a good example from him. And I bought one or two other properties from this same example, and I'm helping other people do the same thing. So it's a really fun experience, and would love to show you all here in a second. And we'll do an actual demo of it, and I can show you another property I'm helping buy right now in Dripping Springs, Texas, that is expected to make over 400,000 in revenue, which is going to be crazy. So again, it's like a Zillow experience. And I had another guy come to me. He's like, Matt, I want to buy a property. I'm a high income earner. I've got to pay like 500 grand in taxes next year, which I was like, that's a good problem to have, I guess. It sounds like you're doing really well. Um, and he's like, well, it's not a good thing because I'm about to have to pay that much. So I said, hey, I've heard a lot about the hill country of Texas. Why don't we get on strike and see what we can find? So we did this. We looked in Dripping Springs, Texas, let it load up. And usually, like on a Zillow experience, like you don't really know if these make money. So what we do is you do this cash on cash button up here. It underwrites the entire area that you're looking at, which can include the entire country, which is crazy because usually you have to underwrite one property at a time. And we underwrite it as if it were going to be a short-term rental. So this is like very short-term rental focused. And then you just again put in these filters of like anything above 10% cash on cash, anything over 100, and you could do some other filters like you would in Zillow. And boom, everything it goes away except for this one little dot. And this property popped up. Check this out. It's on 10 acres. It's like 3 properties with 2 barns. It's got like a little lake in the back. I mean, there's goats back there. Like it's pretty awesome. 2.7 million. I mean, pretty expensive property. Normally people are like, hey, that's too expensive. But this guy, because the data was suggesting there's something interesting there, we explored it. So I found this property. We went to analyze it. We actually negotiated the price down to 245. So there's like built-in underwriting as well to the app. Then it shows mid-scale, upscale, premium revenue so that you can see like low, medium, high type return that, and I'll show you how we actually get these revenue numbers later. Again, it's like competitive to AirDNA. And then you have your startup expenses. I think he's going to spend like 250 on furniture, 250 on like renovation just to make it awesome. So I mean, he's got a lot of capital to be able to do for this. And then he may put it on a property manager, but you've got all your recurring expenses like already added there for you. And then you could always add in just a few other things if you want to add in some miscellaneous stuff. And then you have your down payment that you can modify. I think he's going to do like 15% down payment, like 7.5% interest rate. And boom. Okay, this is a 15% cash on cash return, makes over $10,000 a month in net cash flow. And then he's got his full underwriting report. So again, my background, and I can't remember if I said this earlier, I was in commercial real estate brokerage for 12 years. So what I'm doing is now taking institutional commercial type tools and knowledge and applying them to residential short-term rental, um, tech. So this is taking what I would usually have like with institutions and commercial real estate and applying for the Airbnb space. And then we've got, the last problem I had was I needed a handyman, a cleaner, a agent, a lender. We wanted to make that really easy, kind of like Zillow would do. and having all these key resources for you so that you could be successful. So that's the app. And what's cool is those same filters I just showed y'all, you can apply to like the entire country or an entire region, and you just let it load up. So in your mind, if you're like, hey, I live in Texas, but I don't care where a good deal is, I just want to find them. Boom, here's yellow and green, medium and good deals all over the country that you can go shop for. So you could go to like the Smoky Mountains up here and see what's happening in the Smokies and find these really cool properties. And these are all for sale that you can go buy right now. So it makes the process way easier and way less painful, honestly. So you can have more fun in just shopping actually good deals. So really the only thing, so it's solving your time problem and your knowledge problem because we're just speeding it up and giving you all the information. So the only problem that it's not solving is the capital. But what's cool is if you find a property, you can literally just click on that button. It's awesome, and you could send it to Ariel or another capital partner and say, "Hey, I found this awesome property that makes 20% cash on cash. You want to go buy it?" And you could go partner up and find these capital partners. So that's the high level on the app. Can y'all see the comps dashboard now?
Yep.
Okay, so that property I found in Dripping Springs, Texas. What you do is you go type in this address here. And now we're gonna do a comps recipe on top of that. We're gonna figure out what can I have confidence that it's gonna make $400,000 in revenue, right? Okay, that's a lot of money. It's like, I'm about to drop a ton of money on this. Like, can this thing actually make that much? Well, what you do is you type in the address, you do a certain distance. I like to do like a 5 mile radius around that property, but sometimes I open it up a little bit. Here it's a big property, so I want to open it up more. And I'm going to go to a 7 bedroom or higher because it's actually a 9 bedroom property, but there's not many comps that are 9 bedrooms. So I'm going to do just like 7 bedrooms or higher to capture that kind of upper mega property threshold. And what also is happening is I'm taking out bad data. I think you talk about this a lot, Ariel, of like there's a lot of bad data out there. Well, we take out any Airbnb comps that have not had 20 reviews. They have to have a minimum of 4 stars and they have to be listed for like 275 days or longer. That way, these are actual operating Airbnb comps that you can have more trust in. And trust comes in larger numbers. So, like, if your comps showed like 5 comps, I would be a little bit nervous about that. But with 87 comps, it gives you this range and you can have a little more confidence in that. So what happens is, if y'all ever use AirDNA, AirDNA will give you like one number and it'll say like it could make $50,000 and you're like, do I trust that? There's no ranges of that or and there's, whatever. Here we say, okay, it can make anywhere between 188,000 to almost 600,000. But it gives you like these percentiles. So like the 50th percentile showing, almost 300,000. The 75th percentile showing almost 400. The 90th is showing almost, I mean, 560. So we're expecting to kind of be in this range, the 75th to 90th, because he's going to make it a really cool experience. But then it's like, okay, well, those are cool numbers, but can I actually see how to actually do that? Well, then you go to this table view and you filter by top to lowest revenue. And again, you just go look at your top comps and see what they're doing. So this one's making 590,000 in revenue. And let me pull up this one actually. Here it is. And you can see the pictures of it. I mean, it's got every amenity you could think of under the sun, basketball, pickleball, golf, pool oasis, and it shows you like how many bedrooms, how many guests, and how much money it made in the last 12 months versus what we think it can make in the next 12 months. So it's pulling together all these really cool data pieces, and you can click on the Airbnb link to go check it out. And again, you can just go up and down the comps list and go see all these different competitors out there so you can just do what they're doing or better. So based on this data, that helped my client figure out, you know what? I think I actually could make around 400,000 based if I did all these cool amenities. And the worst case scenario, maybe I'm making like 280 or 300, which is still amazing. So worst case scenario, it's like, hey, it's still a great property to go buy. Um, and then I wanted to show you all another demo, but I couldn't find the link to bring it on tonight. But what we're doing right now, and I think this is what the whole presentation had in the title is Strike 2.0 tools for new investors. And so what we're building right now is what we're calling StrIQ 2.0. So we built the mobile app, we built the comps dashboard. Now we're going to fully integrate this and we're calling StrIQ 2.0. And we're going to be layering in AI. So if you can imagine AI on top of all this so that it's a chat interface and you could basically say, hey, StrIQ, can you show me all the best deals across the country that are above 10% cash on cash return? And it'll literally just spoon feed them to you. And you can say, hey, StrIQ, can you tell me what the top competitors are doing? Or, what are the top amenities these top competitors are doing that I need to have? And then it's like, hey, you need to have a pool, pickleball, mural, lifestyle photos, and, something else. And so that's where we're going with AI, and that should be launching probably first quarter of next year. So anyway, excited to show you all that, and I'll stop there and open it up for questions.